11th to the 17th of November 2023 with the Lovelocks in Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails. And they will be rough cut. I'll start with a standard introduction for those of you who haven't seen it. This is where we live at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, with warnings about fierce guard cats. And this spot here, known as Robin's Corner, is where GPS was tested from the late 1980s onwards. And here is a bit of garden sculpture that June bought Robin from a birthday present a couple of years ago. Here's the oak tree that sprung up from an acorn not that many years ago, and an owl box. Owls pop up in the photo trail. And yeah, down the front drive there's June's car. Yes, the website, just hobbies and charitable causes these days. It was a business many decades ago. Yes, one project might get further, another job, and lots of jobs like this, little garden projects. We made very good progress last year and the year before with the help of Paul from Chobham. But right, coming to the front porch, and the robot boat is inside, but I'll mention the camper that was used to take Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast, and that was the battle damage that was sustained last year. June said Robin did it, Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. We're now unobliged to go through a health and safety warning before we enter the house. In fact, I should have done it before we entered the property. There are warning signs everywhere, been here for years, about hidden cameras. Well, most of them aren't particularly well hidden. And the most important sign is probably this one, and I'll give you a chance to read the small print because it's also got warning words about water squirters. There you are. I've done the health check. By the way, that's where the peanuts are left out. Oh, that reminds me. I wonder where that got to. Not to worry. Right, into the house, and right, probably the next thing to point out is the kitchen. So June and Samantha working from home, just having lunch with tennis on the TV. And this is one of the projects, which is we want to get proper mirrors done here, and I've got quotes out, but just for test we've been using different plastic materials, and the whole point being is to see if there are any disadvantages. Now, we don't have strong sunlight here because there's some cloud, it's all a matter of grabbing the chance, but it was a question of seeing, are there any bad effects? And of course the good effects is I want us to be able to see things like the trees and any wildlife in the trees from the reflections. And with proper mirrors you might see it there, but you get, oops, I'm just tripping over the shopping. And so if we go in here, those are the sort of trees that we want to be able to see, and any wildlife in the trees through proper mirrors. So I'm only pointing that out because it's topical. And meanwhile, of course, they're doing much more important stuff, which is watching tennis. So I'll get my lunch later. So now, this is the important project, and we made a good start. This is the sort of work I would have done with Paul, and may still be a chance for that. But June and I have been working together, and the last photo trail you saw us started, and we've now effectively got to the stage where we're making progress. I won't say any more than that. And stuff is being moved out into the garden. Some stuff, robot boat stuff, but more importantly, when there's any work like those test mirrors, we need to have tools in here. But there is enormous scope for things being tidied up. We put those whatever you call them, plastic boxes, thinking it'd be a temporary solution years ago, and of course it hasn't. It's just simply accumulated. And of course the key thing is you say, yes, get a skip. Exactly. Stuff has got to be thrown, but before you throw it, you've got to make sure what's got to be thrown. And you'll get a clue for that when you see the strategy, which is get somewhere in the garden suitable and take stuff out. Anyhow, this is the lounge. This is Robin's naughty corner. And yes, we did actually resort to doing a little bit of robot boat work. That's the closed circuit TV which appears in most of the videos. So now I'm going to go out into the garden through this door, and this, I'll point out things as we go, but the important strategy, if you like, which was started last year but didn't make much progress. While I'm here, I'll just point out a few things. Projects that were progressed brilliantly last year, where I had somebody to help me, like mirrors for the chimney, so that, a TV and computer for when we're out here, bits and pieces for projects that we need to progress. The pond, yes, it's got a leak, and you've got to do that work at the right time of the year, which is more or less the winter months. No progress at all on that. And oh, that looks like a fierce guard cat. Hello, Toadie. You prowling around?
I hope you're not going to hurt anybody. Right, okay.
That's June's greenhouse. Still got to put the glass that she got for that, but she's got the materials, the clips. And now we're getting towards the bit that's relatively important in terms of the strategy. As I said, lots of stuff to clear out the house and stuff to throw away, but what we've been progressing is places to hang up the stuff in full view. So rather than trying to remember where was that, especially if you've got somebody helping you, you can say, well, saws, yes, there. Now several of those, if not most of them, might get thrown away, but it takes time to check one, and the nice new looking one may not be the best one. I think that one we found wasn't too bad recently. And of course, I haven't got the time to sharpen them, and anybody who knows what they're doing, so yeah, I could sharpen up, but you'd say basically, well, keep the ones that are good rather than keep buying new ones. Same thing for other types of saws and and materials, of course. So just giving you a feel for it, and into what I call the workshop. And so there's a lot of work got to be done when there's a chance. At the moment it's only June herself, to move stuff into highly visible places like that. And if it's stuff that you're using, I mean, the mold grips are a good example, you'd say useful to have those handy closer than have to come out, especially if it's pouring rain. Yeah, the sundial. So I'm just pointing out a few other things for those who haven't seen the photo trail. So coming round here to the bottom of the top pond, and then I had ideas this might end up being a duck pond, but again, no progress since last year. We made a lot of progress, again I say with the help of Paul, and yes, that's at the end of the day you just do what you have time to do. And that lamp, garden lamp, solar powered, yeah, it needs a little bit of work on it. In fact, that battery given me by Stuart would be just the job with a few solar panels. Yeah, just pointing out stuff. June's garden, built that, and another fort for Toadie or Bentley. And going down further down, where do we put the leaves and things? That's the junk heap at the moment, but this was good progress. Compost heap, but stuff needs to be chopped up so it'll compact down, watered, and we've got one there. Lots of stuff to be chopped up. So that is very simple work to do, but it needs energy and a younger pair of hands. This is the shed that June and I put up together, but the only snag with that is that these tools are hidden away, and you'd say fine, that's if you want a place that you're worried. Yeah, loads of cobwebs. If you're worried about people stealing stuff, well, most of the stuff we've got wouldn't be worth stealing, and people can do. Oh, we're going to shut that. Ah, that's interesting. Has that fallen off? Huh. Oh, well, okay. There's a catch there. Oh, that looks as though something's broken, so the door's wide open now. Oh, no, it's not. Robin's memory. There you go. That's what did that. Right, so more junk there. That ladder is quite important. Wheelbarrow when we use it. Yeah, pointing out lots of stuff. Yeah, very pleased with that job done years ago. And lots of accommodation for birds, but I guess the bird population has gone down. So they've got more than enough places to live in. So this is again done fairly recently, within the last couple of weeks or so. Place is sufficiently sheltered to put tools. I think June said those planes needed to be kept dry. Absolutely right. So obviously stuff can be rearranged, and when one says, as I do, that glue's dried up, you throw it. Oh yes, the laboratory or the lab. Again, lots of tidying up needed at the moment. I just simply said, right, there are a few materials being used for the robot boat. That's Halloween stuff that was put away a few weeks ago. Oh, there's a thing talking at us. Right, let's just say, gotta be careful what you trip over here. Definitely a health and safety question. Okay, long photo tour, or rather long video. Oh yes, Toadie is prowling around after me. But one of my motivations, apart from entertaining some of my friends, including a long way overseas, is somebody who thinks they can help with handyman work. Yes, we're interested. Don't have to have a grand title like property maintenance, even if that's what it is. So, about to go in. I don't know whether I can take the shortcut here. No, I can't, it's shut. And of course all this is on camera. So I think we've done most of the important tour here. So you'll be glad to know we're now going to roll into the long photo trails for those days. And I warn you, there'll be a long trail. And one thing I haven't finished yet, at the end I'm going to put a couple of clips that were recorded back in July that will become increasingly important. At least one of them will. Global warming, the prophetic words of James Lovelock. And in short, it's going to happen, and you haven't seen anything yet, but that clip is important. Another one, which will be more of amusement than anything, I think, is about my saga with the DVLA. I'm still waiting for my driving licence. It's all public. That public is not the same as publicised, don't forget. It's just that those with an interest can look. And in short, I don't want anybody getting into trouble, but problems need to be fixed. So, I think that's it. So, into the long photo trials. Saturday the 11th of November 2023, Armistice Day, and
11.5 minutes of photos, including this 2.5 minute summary. So yeah, that's first thing. There's Toadie in the kitchen, and yeah, we got a bit of work done moving stuff into the garden in the space we created, and we've actually got the snooker table, dining table pretty well clear now, apart from Samantha's work corner. Still lots of work to do, but at least it's a start. And we took a trip out and we tried IKEA, and we did find mirrors that would be ideal. They didn't have any in stock. I say ideal as a temporary fixture. Yes, and that was useful doing, even though not very well done, because I could actually see where the reflections were, seeing things. So we brought some materials back, including wood for a shelf and the plastic, to do a better job of that. You could call it a lash up, a useful lash up. And time to put the peanuts out. And yeah, the trackers, yes, they showed where we went. Anybody interested, see it live, yeah, back here. So June's rustled up dinner. I take it into the lounge and into Robin's naughty corner, and yeah, video WhatsApp chat, a Saturday night one with family, including Michelle interacting with Toadie and possibly her cat lady, and meanwhile watching what happens. And an owl arrives. I haven't seen an owl for years, and he spent ages on the table on the patio, probably hoping for mice. Usual visits from foxes, yes, and see when the cameras switch video. And then I decide, oh, I'll take a walk down to the Comrades Club. So walk down the road, lovely clear night, into the Comrades Club, force myself to have a glass of wine, and yeah, I saw the details of Dave Dean's funeral, which were almost certainly attend. And yeah, on our way back and back home, and yes, she's still watching the tennis. And so I say, right, there's Toadie with her relaxing. Yes, the trackers show where Robin was. So time to shut down the PCs and everything, and that's the end of the summary. So now we're going to the actual photo trail, all of those photos. And yes, that temporary mirror I made does its job well of showing where what you see, like the reflection of the trees and things from sat down. Yes, processing of video from the day before. Meanwhile, the women are at tennis, and yes, looking at the tracker that June's got with her, that shows her at the tennis club. Then looking at the other tracker, the type that's going in the robot boat, that shows where the car is, and it works even though the battery was flat, or going flat. Very important test. Yeah, so that shows that they're moving. Yes, that's the work that is started, and we made good progress on, of clearing stuff, including off the snooker table stroke dining table. And yes, they're on their way back. I can see you coming. So yeah, there's their place. So they'll be arriving any moment, so I can go out there before they actually arrive. And there they are. So yeah, that will work well. And oh, what's Samantha seen? Oh yes, apparently Toadie was seen in the near the front entrance of Armitage Court. I had seen him there once before, so I thought I'll take a walk up there on the off chance that I get a glimpse of what mischief he's up to. But he's probably prowled away by then, and we saw him later. I don't think he's into guarding Armitage Court. He just looks after his patch, which is our place at number 22. Yes, so back there, and glimpse of the usual things. Robin's Corner, where GPS was tested, the garden sculpture that June bought for a birthday present, and the stink horn that's coming up. And yes, there's the bicycle, which I'll get some round to drive. Oh yes, in the front door. And they're watching the Armistice Day events, on the TV, and of course I do that. I check. There's a 2-minute delay in the system, but still there's the 1-minute silence, which we've always observed. So back to work, I suppose, with Toadie around, and yes, probably recording the sound as I'm doing now for the previous day. So that video, that was for the Friday, and yeah, that's done. And then yes, soup for lunch, and so yeah, June's doing a few odds and ends there. But I think she's checking out stuff that we might get from IKEA, because it's, again, the right materials needed for the various jobs, whether it's shelves or mirrors or whatever. Yes, Toadie watching, finding things and deciding, they can go somewhere different. Checking batteries that were lying there before deciding whether to keep them or throw them away. A battery that had been stood there could be charged up. Yes, that remote doorbell. So when somebody rings the front door bell, we hear it in the garden. That's a job on the list. And there's that table, a lot cleaner now. And of course, a lot of it is involved going out and putting things in the right place. And that often means building, as we have done, extra shelves and covers from the rain, so things can be put there, not just in the workshop that you see there. But we're starting to move more stuff out of the house. So that games room is gradually going in the right direction. And there's the mirrors that June saw, and at IKEA. And we thought, well, we hadn't gone to IKEA looking for mirrors. And of course there's the possibilities of long-term solution for the mirrors that go in those skylights in the kitchen, or temporary solutions where we get an immediate benefit but also information on basically what options we've got if a mirror isn't available of exactly the right size. And yes, so we're off on that trip, and there's the garage, lots of stuff to be moved out, but it's all a matter of doing things in the right order. So there's the spot tracker. So since we're taking Robin's car, so we can carry more stuff like lengths of wood, I made sure the trackers were in that. So we're testing the trackers, and anybody curious can see, that's where they are. So past a few landmarks, coming through that was South Ascot, now the Ascot station, up into Ascot. There's the Ascot racecourse, the police station, and yeah, loads of building going on the corner where the hospital was. There's a better hospital around the corner, and into Bracknell, near the college on the left, and where the Met Office was before it moved, the Old Manor pub. Lots of things which were familiar landmarks to us many years ago, in the late 60s into early, 1970, 71, when we went to Holland. So that's now the run. We're on the run to IKEA, so it's along the M4 and then come off and into the big multi-storey car park. Of course, very popular there on the Saturday. So we go in there. We saw something we weren't planning to get. We said, yeah, that'd be useful. Metal shelves for space outside. The snag was, and we also saw, we looked in at mirrors, and we also saw them, but the trouble is they didn't have them in stock. So that was the problem. And also a mirror, we would have bought several, but the good thing is it's a great big showroom, so you identify product and might get it from IKEA or might get it from somewhere else. So yeah, we thought we'd swing into Wickes. I saw some material thought that's could be useful around the edging of a mirror, and also a support, an extra safety feature. And we were going in there anyhow to get a large length of wood. Oh yes, home base. We didn't buy anything, but nice picture of, you know, the big inflatable snowman. And so making our way home, past the Swinley pub in South Ascot, back home. So stuff has got to be got out of the car, put that length of wood, which is going to be a shelf, and it's in fact in place now, because I'm recording this the next day. And yeah, so stuff was, and June had bought those, and she said, Samantha can use those for tidying her stuff in her corner of the dining tables. Yeah, time to put the peanuts out, and also down the end of the bottom bridge, needed a flash really there, and yeah, making my way back up the garden. And yes, that lamp there, so if we change the batteries, switch it on, and it comes on at the time of the day that you switch it on, I think that type. So yeah, carry on putting the peanuts out around the front, put the peanuts back where they normally kept in there. June's rustled up some food, or his process of doing that, and yeah, what I'm doing here, probably checking trackers. Yeah, contact page, the black tracker there, tap on that and it'll show you live, but I thought, right, go to the website, I have to log in so I can see. Yes, anybody looking live would have seen where we were. A bit of scatter around Dunelm, partly due to the walking around, also the signal. And yeah, got back home. There we go. Just here. Yes, just here. And then on the robot boat page you can get access to the spot tracker that is going in Snoopy's boat, but for the moment we put it in the car and test it, including when the battery is running low, so we see at what voltage supply it actually stops functioning as a tracker. So I've been very pleased with how those have been behaving, so that's good. There's the stuff that June bought. I thought, what's she going to do with those? So the moment they're put there, and that's something for Samantha to look at the next day. If there's extra, then no problem. So yeah, time to take dinner into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge, because there's not room at the table in the kitchen for everybody to sit. Oh yes, the video WhatsApp chat with family. And so Toadie decided I'll participate in that, so he relaxes with June, as he often does when she's watching the TV, and Michelle wants to always have a interaction with Toadie, and sometimes her cat Lady's in there, so June is helping with that. Oh yes, the armed mice that Toadie has a habit of attacking. Now they are of course catnip mice, so we got them cheaply from the vets, and but he also likes that. There's a glimpse of bringing materials back earlier. This is part of the closed circuit TV check really. There's the badger under the table, and then you don't get a very good picture, but that's him on the bottom bridge after the peanuts, and you see yes, there he is, that's a better view, and you see that the fox comes down to say, can I have some peanuts, Mr. Badger? And the badger says no. And then of course there's that appearance of the owl, and I haven't seen an owl for years, and he actually spent ages down, probably hoping for mice, sat on our table. That was lovely. Hope he comes again. He may even choose to use one of the owl boxes that we've got. We've got one at the front in the oak tree, and we've got one at the back, quite high up on the pine tree. So there's the fox, a regular visitor. It's got light again, 0654, and yeah, So now probably checking back from midnight. So yes, the fox was there around about midnight, so therefore both before and after midnight. There's a glimpse of me putting stuff. Oh yes, while that was going on, I had a long phone call from Paul, and yeah, that was a good chat, and yeah, 50 odd minutes, but Paul did a load of good work with me in the garden, mostly suggesting how we do a particular job, and there's loads of stuff done. The evidence is the bridges and all the rest of it. Into the Comrades Club, yes, and yes, had problems with the Wi-Fi. Had worked weeks ago, so I thought, well, I'll give it another test. Haven't been able to find out what it is. Probably my phone, but not to worry. And yeah, so I saw the details of Dave Dean's funeral, which I'm sure we'll be attending. And yes, so out of the Comrades Club, back home, and lovely dark starlit night, very lovely. And June's watching the tennis, and yes, Toadie's with her relaxing. What do you expect? So I go in to check the trackers. Yes, anybody would have seen that's where Robin was in the Comrades Club, and yes, he got back, so shut down the PC there. Same thing applies in the lounge, and that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 12th of November 2023, Remembrance Sunday, and also Diwali, which is celebration of light over darkness in the Indian calendar. So first, a summary within 3.5 minutes of the photo trail. So the whole photo trail is about 15.5 minutes. So yeah, did a bit more work of moving stuff into the garden and making a shelf so that we've got even more space to hide stuff in the open. And of course the pussycat takes an interest, and yeah, at the back end, oh, that was only lunchtime, had a lunch snack and a phone call from a police officer and also from Paul and that was a very good result. And yeah, so we're off. Oh yes, that was Bal Bansal came round and took us for a run over to see the apartment, or shall we call it the flat, where Mandeep has, and that had some lovely memories for me, because that same spot is where we had a building and where I worked at Esam's. Anyhow, we were made very welcome there. And yes, what it triggered memories of was the time at Esam's working closely with the army, and that Barossa video, that's the place, the same spot. They knocked that down and built the block of flats or apartments. Yes, they brought back some nice memories from then. And that was in fact where we put the bid together for the Gulf War. Going back a bit, that 1991 was it? Yes, so that's Bentley coming over for having a meal. That's the work I've been doing, which is a temporary solution of the mirrors, but instead of proper mirrors I've found this plastic material. Yes, so June's rustling up dinner. I do the usual thing of taking the dinner through into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge, where I can eat that. Oh yes, the fireworks, interrupted by fireworks going off, and that's by the family just up the road celebrating Diwali. And we were saying, could we get the backing off of that? Then I googled it up and I thought, well, the backing paper off that foil should look differently. Anyhow, so I thought, well, do things as best I could. Bit of a lash up, but it worked out well. Yes, putting the screws in to hold it up. And yes, interference from Toadie. Checking the weather. Yeah, that looks good if I want to take a walk down to the Comrades Club. Get some exercise. And it's depends on who's there, of course. So down into the club, have a glass of wine. Yes. Friends playing snooker. No, that's not snooker. That's American game, isn't it, Paul? Yeah, back home. June's watching the tennis. In fact, she watched that very late. And yes, Toadie's joined her. And so I was thinking, no, time to go up. Yeah, those pictures were taken the next morning. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail. Yes, that's the cat having his breakfast. And yes, that's where I'm doing a bit of work, which is we want proper mirrors in those skylights. But while we're waiting for a solution to be offered to us, then we say, well, do something. Yes, and also recognise some painting's needed, but it's got to be sanded first. So these are all jobs. Some of them are quite straightforward. But June and I worked together to say, yeah, if we've got another shelf there, oh yes, and I found some more junk, robot boat junk, so I put it with the other robot boat junk. And so we managed to put a shelf up, a cutout, so we won't catch it. And I needed a kneeling stool, and June knew where it was in the shed. So for working on it, I needed to kneel down. And yeah, decided where to put things. Decided, right, could do with a bit of creosote. So slapped the creosote on and then cleaned off the brushes by rubbing on another bit of wood. And yeah, place to put the odd scraps of wood around the side of the house for now. June said, time to put the dustbins out. And hard work that was. Yes, so looking in the garage for stuff. Oh yes, the sander, because we'd have to use the sander before doing the painting on the walls. And yeah, June knew where it was. Toadie watching, basically patrolling the place. So there's the sander. That's the work that has to be done, sanded and then painted. The painting would be pretty easy. In fact, the whole thing should be easy. Just a case of using the right tools. Meanwhile, I'm doing exactly this sort of job for the day before, the 11th of November. So that job's done. Make sure it's all backed up. And what are they looking at? Probably tennis related stuff. June has rustled up some lunch for Robin. I have a look at the weather, because that affects whether we do work in the garden or not. And what are we doing now? Oh yes, emails. And yeah, some interesting conversations. And yeah, so that's it, bell came. And so very short notice stuff, and lovely. I said, any chance of going along? Yeah, she said, no problem. So she's taken us now into Frimley to that's it, and that's the spot, and that's the new lovely block of flats or apartments, whatever you like to call it. And so we went up there, made very welcome, and yes, I look out the window. Yeah, a lot of that is all new housing, really new since the 90s, or rather the 80s when I was working at ESAMS. Yeah, just looking at things like the fire alarm systems, all look very well done. Shown some video, and now on our way back. Yeah, a bit of rain, and yeah, stopped there for picking up something or other, and still making our way back home. And then we get dropped off and back into the house, and I'm probably going to check the tracker, because anybody who's interested could say, where's Robin, what he's up to. Oh yeah, tap on that. That's switched to Punjabi, by the way. I don't think the tracking works in that, but the only way is to try it. Yeah, so that's the journey we made to Frimley, and there we are in detail. Bit of scatter. So, oh yes, that's the relevant video anybody could see. There's a whole page as well. Same mapping, same spot. There's the place just there. Yep. And they must have knocked that down and built the new apartments there. And that's on the Barossa page. It's all pages have been there for years. Public, of course. Yeah. There's the going out to put the peanuts now. On the top bridge. Going down the garden now, and the bottom bridge, and yeah, put them down there. Yeah, I needed to use a flash. The camera's playing up. Probably I'm not. Yeah, it's probably the settings have changed or something. But it doesn't matter. So now out the front. So put the peanuts out the front. So that's all done. So back in and put the peanuts back where they've been kept recently, which is on that corner of the lounge. It's definitely slowly getting cleaner there. June, of course, watching tennis just for a change, and I'm back into my naughty corner, and oh yes, listening to the Radio 4 news, and looks like Bentley's decided to come in for dinner, and June's cooking dinner for us, and I'm looking at those materials. I bought some material there, just marking it out. That's for the, if you like, called temporary mirrors for experiment. And Bentley seems to be prowling around. I decided I've got to do some work inside, so I had to go and fetch the tools. Ah, that was a long call from Paul. Absolutely lovely. Yeah, yeah. Good result overall for everybody. And yeah, just marking out a length of that material which we'd found a day or two earlier, and checking that it will fit in. I've got to take a bit off those edges because it's obviously not completely rectangular. Yeah, a little bit to be taken off. So yeah, that process is going on. Looks like I've got a reason for going out there. I'll probably to get another tool. Yeah. Keep tools where you can easily find them, but of course, the trouble is you've got to walk to and fro to get them. Oh dear, I've made a bit of a mess of plastic dust, I suppose, not sawdust. Oh dear, I'll have to clean that up, but I'll get on with the job first. So make sure that fits into place. But he says, yes, been interrupted by dinner. So yeah, and I'll get the dustpan and brush from where June keeps it in the utility room and sweep that up. That's it, being a good boy. And then take it back and, yes, put it where she says in the ordinary bin. Well, I wrote ordinary bin on it because it's not clear to me. And she's quite fussy what waste goes in what. So there's dinner. They're watching tennis, just for a change. And I take mine through into the lounge and Robin's naughty corner, where I can watch the closed circuit TV. Oh yes, and they're interrupted by fireworks going off up the road. And so yeah, go out, only get a glimpse, and then back in to continue. And right, that is close to being put up. I had a bit of problem. Yes, put that away. That's some paper for the wrapping. And June says no, she couldn't find the backing paper on that silver foil. It says it's got it, but yeah, but we did find an advert for the same stuff. Well, apparently where it's quite clearly paper rather than transparent plastic. And I think we found out that there is transparent plastic on that particular version of the product, which might have been an old version. Anyhow, I say, well, I use watered down PVA glue to do a job which was probably much better ways of doing it, but it served its purpose. Put things back where they belong, or unless I'm going for something else there, probably. Yeah, oh yes, the glue that I picked up had all dried out. So when you start using it, you suddenly say, oh no, that can be thrown away. And yeah, so I've used my watered down glue. then wash it out afterwards, get rid of it. And I use sellotape as well to basically pull that back so it's a silver on the front, and then try popping it into place. And yeah, June's found some screws in the house, so I didn't have to go out looking for them, and a screwdriver of sorts. It was a bit of a fiddly job standing on the table, but it's in place, and it was well worth doing, as it turned out. And yes, Toady decided to join us, make a nuisance of himself. And so I'm saying, well, looking at the weather, looks as though I could afford to take a little walk. So yeah, walk down to the Comrades Club. So yeah, anybody can see me if they're interested. Yeah, clap up, tick on that, and shall we say tap or click on that. And yeah, take my snooker to queue in case I have a game. And in fact, I did have a game, but it wasn't snooker. It was pool. I hardly know the names of that. Rather the names of it, I hardly know the rules of it. Yes, there's our friends from across the road, and they insisted on me having one game with them. But I really just enjoy watching and the banter. Yeah, so came back. June's still watching tennis with Toady, of course. Toady's prowling around. Yes, hello Toady. Time to shut things down. And yeah, so yeah, fireworks going off. Oh yes, that was what we missed. Just those a few pictures of showing what we would have liked to have seen, but we weren't able to see it. And that picture was taken this morning as well, so it served its purpose well. So that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 13th of November 2023. Over 12 minutes of photos, including this 1.5 minute summary. Self SOS type work, replacing tools, getting materials for the mirror, temporary mirror job that is, and yeah, bodging the leaky toilet we've got. Yes, Richard said, as correctly, you need to replace all those bits. And yes, so took a run out, tested the trackers of course as part of that, and we were going down to the hobby place, where we might get some materials. We hadn't looked for materials for like mirrors and things in there. Yes, putting out the peanuts, looking at the wildlife, fixing a camera that had dropped down, processing of the video from the previous day, watching the news, and that owl, a very rare visit, managed to get that onto USB stick. So in slower time we'll put it up as a little YouTube video. And yeah, so shutting down the PCs and time to go to bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail, which includes, yes, now that I've got as a temporary mirror for testing. That's the leak, and of course a lot of these things, they interrupt each other. It looks like the women are checking out the details for the social tennis, and notice that that needs to have something done because that water is filling up to the brim the plant pot, and that will damage the plant that's in it. And so I thought I'd fixed it by just flushing, but of course no, that's a temporary thing. As the water comes up, the water overflows again. And so what am I going to do about that? Yeah, one possibility is, yeah, just the obvious one of adjusting it, but no, that didn't seem to, it was a bit tricky. Perhaps raising the height of the overflow with a little bit of plastic tube of the right size. So I cut a bit off and try that. That wasn't a good solution either, because it still happened. So yeah, lots of things going on at the same time. So that's the processing of the video for the day before. and I thought, now there's a bodge. Well, I was quite pleased with the result, which is basically, even though it still overflows, it doesn't top up the plant container. So yeah, you need to see it, but basically, yeah, that'll do for now. June's rustling up lunch, which is Robin's favourite, of scrambled egg with smoked salmon on toast, and watching tennis, of course. And then, yeah, I'm looking up online some of the solutions for the making up those temporary mirrors for test as much as anything. And I order material at Hobbycraft, a roll of them. So I thought that would be good. So other things, particularly like my mirrors complete. So yeah, we're going to take that trip out and use it as an opportunity to check the trackers, the Spot Satcom's trackers, and of course the one that I wear. So now a few landmarks going through Sunninghill, including Chapman's Ironmongers, yes, other places you might recognise. And so we're now on our way out towards Woking and across Chobham Common, across the motorway into Chobham. So a few places you might recognise at Chobham, and through the middle of it. And what have we got here? Yes, that's where you turn off left past the village hall, and on the lovely road through common land into that area with Hobbycraft. I call it Old Woking, it's got its own name. So into Hobbycraft. Yes, that's the website, just hobbies and charitable causes. But unfortunately, that product I ordered wasn't in stock, so they will get it in soon. So now we're deciding where's the next place we can go, which isn't too far away, and it's Wickes and Homebase. So we'll swing past there because I wanted to get some material anyhow from Wickes. And with all these things, you can sometimes see what you're looking for, but didn't know. So there's some mirrors, and yeah, those things might be of longer term use, cheap mirrors, but again, it's doing things simply first. And yes, made in China, what do you expect? And yeah, that was the material I thought was useful getting, and also some blades different to the usual Stanley brand, and all the Stanley blades were all locked up. So right, making our way back home, and there's the material that we bought, which might be even better to work with as temporary mirrors. This is around the skylight, of course. And yeah, one of the cameras has chosen to fail, and yet another camera. So look at when it failed, and it was an obvious thing. Could have been the bit of wind. Looked at the camera, did some quick checks, and of course two lots of cable going through, and now both of them seem to be bad, but at the end of the day you don't know without checking thoroughly, and it takes time. So those cables need to be taken out. Probably the quickest way is just replace the whole cable run, and possibly the camera. And right, at least we had made progress previously in labelling which channels are which. Yeah, radio, so probably listening to the radio news. And yes, there was some politics there. No comment. Yes. And yeah, now checking the trackers, and I'm very pleased that still with the low battery for several days now, that spot tracker is still reporting positions. And so we want to see how long it will go and then what voltage it drops to when it stops working. So I'm now checking my tracker, the pensioner tracker, which anybody can see as the other ones just by tapping on the correct place. And sure enough, there's the visit to Hobbycraft and to Wickes and to Homebase and back home. and yeah, back home here, and it's all working good. So now what's happening over there, he says, but yes, some lovely emails coming in there, including to our residents association, and we've got an event there, brilliantly organised. Looking forward to that. And June's checking other things, watching the tennis, of course. Rustled up food, so I take the food into Robin's naughty corner. But what is it? I'd forgotten to put the peanuts out. Better to do it earlier rather than later, because wildlife tends to come round fairly early. And yes, there's that leak, and I thought, I could do another little bodge, which is drill a few holes in the bottom, not tell June of course, so the water can't build up, but it will leak out, so it get watered, but it won't end up being flooded. So the plants, the water will be a benefit. So, yeah, usual closed circuit TV checks. Not very good picture, but that's a badger visiting just outside the window, and shows up a bit better. You can see it moving, which is makes it easier to make sense of rather than these still frames. And there's the fox coming again to the top bridge, and there he is coming to the front porch, the peanuts. And so probably running forward through time until the cameras switch, according to that, about 7:06 in the morning. And now probably running backwards from midnight, so because he was there at midnight, you see the same fox again. Oh yes, that was disturbed by me coming back from the Comrades Club. And yeah, there's a fox there. There's the camera. There's me fixing the camera. And yeah, that's all good. And what's next? Oh yes, processing of the video from the day before, Remembrance Sunday. Yeah, that's good. And backing up, and yeah, women are watching the news. Yeah, John watching the news. And yeah, now the process of moving on to USB stick, and I had some problems with that and took photos, which is, it was that owl, and the stick I used didn't have enough space on it, so I found another stick. I had to choose the correct channel as well, so I made a few mistakes, but of course it was that rare glimpse of an owl who spent some time there, so at least get it onto USB stick before the information's lost, and hopefully that'll work. So yeah, backup successful, it looks good. So there's the owl, and he spent some time on that table, probably hoping for mice. And so I've got that on USB stick in slower time, probably put it up as a YouTube video, add to a closed circuit TV page showing other wildlife. And yeah, Tony's relaxing with June. Yeah, see the weather forecast for tomorrow, and main news and the local South Today news. And yeah, it looks as though I've still got that on the, yeah, renamed the file Owl1, and that's stored away, ready for processing. And what we're doing here, it looks like shutting stuff down and being followed by Toady. So time for bed, and that's the end of that photo trail. Tuesday the 14th of November 2023. This 1.5 minute summary. Yes, some of the work was related to making test mirrors, lightweight mirrors using plastic and something suitable like silver over the top. Went to Screwfix, and also, yeah, it was Tuesday, so printed off the total deaths graph from the ONS. And June and I managed to fix one of the cameras and tidied up the cables. There was 2 lots of extra cable out there, which can be tested in slower time. Yeah, put out the peanuts, and June rustled up dinner, checked the draggers, yes, showed that the spot tracker was working okay despite a low battery. Useful test. Checking the foxes, and I even glimpsed a mouse just by the movement in his eyes. Yes, a little mouse. And there's one of the materials that we've been using for gluing anything silvery onto lightweight plastic. And I thought, June's Tesco foil might do the job. Yeah, down to the Comrades Club, enjoy a glass of wine, go back and into the house. June's watching the tennis. I think it was Djokovic. I think he lost. And yes, I find that rather boring. So up to bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail. Yes, first shot taken was the women looking on their smartphones, probably related to organising the social tennis. And I do a bit of work with the materials I've got so far, which is basically lightweight plastic and something suitably silvery. And yeah, emails including related to pub grub, and yeah, Tuesday, so print out and update the total deaths graph. Yes, process the video from the day before, doing work a bit like I'm doing now. Very easy to cut that material. Yeah, saw, but also with even things like kitchen knives. And yeah, that spray was useful as well. Very quick and convenient way of gluing things. And yeah, June and I worked together to basically get a camera working that had stopped recently, but also tidy things up, like extra cables that were running out there. Then a trip round the corner into South Ascot and to Screwfix to get some more materials for the same sort of work. So into Screwfix, pick up both their brand and duct tape, for sticky tape, and another can of that sticky glue stuff. And so got the materials, then tidying up that camera had gone, channel 5, which is the camera on the oak tree looking forward into the front garden of the house. And very quickly found, just by swapping a camera, that worked. It's all a matter of swapping things. And June pointed out where the closed circuit TV materials were. That included things that were okay and things that probably still got to be tested. Anyhow, got that camera working. That was good. And yeah, that was me caught on it. So back to other work and putting out peanuts. I had to top up the container of peanuts from the big bag we've got. Put them out at the front, go round to the back, put them on the top bridge just outside the patio door, down the end of the garden past the telescope, and yeah, going round the back and put some on the bottom bridge. And we don't have a camera working on that one at the moment, so yeah, that's one of those things. It'll be fixed sooner or later. And yeah, June's rustling up dinner, and so I'm getting on with other things. Oh, she's got the tennis on the television in the kitchen, so I'm checking the trackers now, I should think. Yeah, check the Snoopy's tracker, and I was pleased with that. I showed the trip round to Screwfix because we've temporarily got it in the car, and good because it's still reporting despite its low power. And yeah, checking my tracker, the one I wear, and that also shows the trip in a bit more detail, of course, because it reports more frequently. And June's got the food ready, so I take it into the lounge and to Robin's naughty corner, where I can sit in a more relaxed chair and also watch the closed circuit TV, listen to the radio, like the news for example, and yeah, check out the closed circuit TV and visits by the foxes, both at the back and at the front porch. they tend to be a bit careful there. They never know what's creeping up on them. Might be fierce pussycats or something. And then I get a glance of a mouse, and yeah, you don't see it in the still frames, but there's only one thing that moves like that. Yes, a bit like those mice that Toadie likes to play with. So until it got light, when the cameras switched to colour mode, and then going back from midnight, similar sort of pattern of foxes coming for peanuts at the front and at the back, and yeah, me fixing the camera, I guess that was, adjusting the camera, and through to 1635 when it switches from colour to night mode. And yes, and glimpses of the women off to tennis, and yeah, what else? Oh yes, there they are, the tennis club, and yeah, that tracker's working well despite the low power. But the other one is not. Make a note of that, so I'm going to have to check what voltage it dropped to, and of course charge it up. Bit more work on using the materials I've got to make some more test mirrors, and that was useful for smoothing them down. And yeah, make sure I put the cut-offs in the right place. He says, yeah. And so when the sun comes around, we'll get some more useful information. So I had to be careful there, but standing on a chair wasn't too risky. And yeah, that's the material. And the only trouble was that Hobbycraft said they had it on their website, and eventually said no, they just can't get hold of the stuff. But they did pay the money back. But of course it was that wasted trip all the way over there. But I thought, how about Tesco silver wrapping foil or whatever you call it. Yeah, so that shows the women on their way back. So yeah, they appear on the closed circuit TV, I should think. Yes, they are. There they are arriving. So I go out and get a snap or two of them arriving, and yeah, there's June's tracker, and yeah, that shows almost within seconds of them getting back. And there's my trip planned to go down to the Comrades Club, I think that was. And oh yes, that's what she was watching, rather boring stuff. And so now I'm off down to the Comrades Club, and yeah, there we go, into this Comrades Club, have a glass of wine, and yeah, still didn't get my phone to work on their Wi-Fi network where it had worked before, and make my way back home. And lovely night it was, starlit night, wasn't too cold either. And yeah, a little bit more there. It's amazing, just a little tacks and a hammer, since it's lightweight, is a very easy way of pinning those mirrors. So that mirror is ready for testing tomorrow when the sun comes round after 12 o'clock. It'll shine on there. And it sounds like my phone going off here. So I think that's pretty well it. They're ringing, and I'll ring them back, whoever it is. So it could be a number of things. Anyhow, that is the, yeah, so it's coming along. Yeah, so the phone is good. They're leaving it ringing, that's good. And yeah, so that's the end of that photo trail. Now I'll answer that phone call. Wednesday the 15th of November 2023. 2.5 minute summary of the photos appearing in about a, whatever it is, 14.5 minute photo trail. So yes, the women back from tennis, and one of the background jobs is test mirrors, which were based on plastic and silver foil and things, so we can see the effect. And of course a pub lunch over at the Red Lion at Lightwater with John and Stuart, and a crowd of Crookham Flyers with Roy, old friend since 1970 or so. And yeah, using the clear sky and sun to check the mirrors, and yeah, down to see the Bansalls and Dog Romeo, and yeah, women like chatting together, and got a bright idea from Jazz, who just saw, about where we might get mirror material, which was the range. Yeah, glimpses of the cat. So we made a trip to the range and had a look, and we didn't find what we're looking for, but we got the, well, baking foil. I also popped into Ascot Hardware to thank him, and yes, Jude and I treated ourselves to a dinner at the La Sorrentina with Adriano and his crowd, so enjoyed that. And then popped into the Comrades Club just for a few minutes so June could check out a few things there, including mention of her Uncle Ern Ponsford on the wall. Yeah, back home, June watching tennis, of course. I put out the peanuts, both on the top bridge just outside and down the garden. And yeah, look at the closed circuit TV. Yeah, there's a fox top bridge and in the porch, and for the first time a badger come into the porch, which is far better lit, so we got better pictures of, or rather video, of the badger visiting. Listen to the Radio 4 news while June's watching the tennis, and I also, yes, Toadie joined me, and yeah, so yeah, it's getting a bit bored with that, so time to go up. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the full photo trail. So first, yeah, looks like June's on her way back from tennis. Of course, I may not have started the photo trail till half an hour at least, processing the video from the day before. Yes, looks as though they're practically back, and yes, there they are on the closed circuit TV. There they are arriving, and a glimpse of the tracker, the pensioner tracker, on June's handbag, and back into the lounge. And yes, that shows it at the right position. It's arrived. That updates several times a minute. And yeah, into the garden. Lovely bright sunny day, so a good day to check position, putting them together based on plastic and silver foil, whatever. So I found, yeah, in fact I could tack them in place with a simple little nail or two. No need for even screws, just for holding such lightweight material in place, realising it's there for test, and there may be some benefit until we get it done. There's Bentley from across the road, and Toadie also prowling around. That's one of the materials used, which is the contact glue and the spreader, and yeah, little tacks. So just a matter of standing on a chair to do that, not too difficult. And yeah, the table, you see it's a little clearer, but we've still got a lot of work to do. They're processing of the video. That looks as though that's done, so then record the commentary, a bit like I'm doing this one, and with a little recording USB stick. Not sure that came out right, but yeah. Oh no, that was a phone call from Terry while I was doing it, and yeah, that's why I tend to write things down. It was a question of some confusion about pub lunch, and yeah, carry on with that. So in the kitchen, and looking at, it was the sun, it was just coming around to 12 o'clock, so it was starting to at least show bright sky. If we'd waited another half hour, but there was other things more important like pub lunch, we would have seen whether we got full sunlight coming into the kitchen. But instead, pub lunch and Stuart driving, and yeah, that's what we chose to eat. And yeah, bunch of the Crookham Flyers, I think, with Roy's a member. We know Roy ages. Yeah, there's John and Stuart. And going back home past a few landmarks, and yeah, towards Sunninghill, over the border into Berkshire, into Armitage Court, and no coffee that day. Stuart wanted to watch, I think it was Prime Minister Question Time or some other entertainment, so I got straight on with that mirror work, and yeah, so we could have one there, and it was a case of, yeah, that didn't work very well, and yeah, that did, so, or at least that's, so it's all a question of materials, and occasionally you see materials that are better than what you were using. Yeah, lovely clear sky, ideal for checking that process. And then down to the Bansals, because I found out that's where June had gone, and thought, lovely, I'll go and join her opposite the Comrades Club, and yeah, joined them, and doggy Romeo, and Chaz on the right there got a good idea on where we might get the mirror material we're looking for. That was the range. There was also another possibility. Right, so a few pictures of mostly Romeo, my favourite doggy, and June checking up. Yes, apparently the word pet is a type of plastic as well. Oh yes, beer being delivered to the Comrades Club opposite, and yeah, back home, and yes, what are we going to see now? Yes, the tracker showed June getting back home, and a bit more work, if you call it that, with the, you could say it's a bodge, but it might be a useful bodge. So just standing on a chair in order to tap those rough temporary mirrors, test mirrors, probably better choice of words. And there's Bentley from across the road come over to relax in the games room, and yeah, it looks like we're off on a trip, probably to the range, and we popped into one or two other places as well. And that tracker, the spare one, clearly needed to be charged up, and yeah, so we're coming into Bracknell now, past a few landmarks. I say landmarks, these are fairly recent buildings by my standards, but to the range. There was one or two other places we went into as well, but at least we came out of the range, not for what we're looking for, but material that might well do the job. I would call it Baco 4. It's basically for kitchen silver wrapping paper. And yeah, coming back, popped into Ascot Hardware mostly to thank Boiter for that bright idea, and a couple of rolls of that plastic product, which is quite difficult to come by now, just looking around. Yeah, making our way back home, swung by La Sorrentina to basically make sure we could get a table, and back home, yeah, put the stock there ready for more work. Yeah, glance at the robot boat, yes, the light coming on, and what's happening next. Yeah, looking at the tracker, yes, that showed us getting back. Yeah, look at now my tracker, anybody can see where they are just by tapping on the appropriate picture on the contact page. Yes, that shows, yes, came back here, and then look at the website that I have to log into to see its history for the last 24 days. So 24 days, 24 hours, including Red Line, dropping into the Bansals, and also their shopping trip, including the range and home base, and back home, stopping at places. Yes, yeah, don't forget you're tracked. And yeah, looking at email, yes, one I have to reply to, and yeah, now it's looking at that, and that says that that's alt tracker, that one, the spare one, was stopped working. So I got the useful information on how many days it continued to report and put it on charge. So we got useful information from that. Then we took our walk down to La Sorrentina, lovely meal with Adriano and his guys, and he said, we got swordfish, pesce spada, and then the cheesecake, and enjoyed that. And yeah, that was the bottom line. And yeah, then briefly across the Comrades Club, and then walk back home. And yes, so what's waiting us there? I'll be surprised if yeah, there's Toadie joining us. Oh yes, administration of the pub grub, which is pub grub number 2, was going to be on the Thursday, which is when I'm recording this. And yeah, so that's all working, which was the tracker that I charged up. And yeah, glimpse of the games room, glimpse of the lounge, June watching tennis. Time to put out the peanuts on the top bridge, just outside the patio door, and the bottom bridge, in the back garden that is, and then back, yeah, no work on the telescope, out on the front porch and on the road. So that's the peanuts deployed, and yeah, during watching the tennis I can then go to Robin's Naughty Corner and watch the closed circuit TV and check it for the previous night. So that means running from midnight forward, and yes, the badger as well as the fox came to the top bridge, and then the porch, and the badger came to the front porch, which is obviously better lit, so we got better pictures of the badger coming for the peanuts. And yeah, there's the fox. And so those checks continued. So we effectively said, yeah, that's what we saw overnight. When it did the camera switch, so 0703, the camera switched to colour in the day, and then yeah, listening to the Radio 4 news, and probably checking back from midnight. Yeah, 2 foxes there. So I think in total it was about 3 foxes. And yeah, one of the cameras at that time wasn't working, but of course we fixed that, and because that was for the previous day. So showing time to shut down PC in the study, Toadie relaxing by the side of me, and yeah, that was live, just outside there, fox coming for the peanuts, June watching the tennis. Boring. So time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 16th of November 2023. 2.5 minute summary of 13.5 minute photo trail. So yes, that's June giving Richard and I a lift to the Duke of Edinburgh pub. Richard handing over a £5 for a little bet we'd taken on the question of what a cotton reel would do. And yeah, lovely meal. So there's a little record of what we ate. So then Terry was over to give us a lift back and had coffee and cake round at Richard and Faye's. Continued interesting conversations with their cat, and yeah, expert advice from Richard on how to go about updating the kitchen, checking the rain radar, because June had agreed to go down to the bandsaws after we'd finished and knew they were going to be delayed. I said, well, why not ring Bal first? And she didn't wait till we got down there, and of course they were in Slough. So back home. Wasted trip in the rain. I did, I've got some materials there, and I'll do another one of those test mirrors or temporary mirrors, basically partly an experiment. So put the peanuts out, and June's rustled up pizza, so take that into the naughty corner in the lounge. June comes in and watches tennis. I check the closed circuit TV, starting from midnight through till when it gets light, and then backwards. There's the badger, there's the fox, and yes, boring village. Comrades Club. Have a glass of wine, watch the snooker, remind myself how that's played. Walk back. Yes, still a few poppies out, and yeah, June's still watching the tennis. Yes, there's a fox live on the bridge just outside the patio door. So all in, time for bed. That's the end of the summary. Right, now into the full photo trail. So there's Bentley from opposite relaxing in the games room. Yes, we've cleared one end of the table, gradually moving stuff out when there's the times, and yet no work on the robot boat really, but got materials ready to do some more work. There's Toadie in the kitchen, and that's where I'm putting up these test mirrors while we're waiting to find the right guy to put up mirrors properly. And of course we're also finding alternative materials to glass mirrors. So that's processing of the video for the day before. And yes, now Toadie comes in and does his usual thing of playing with the armed mice spares in the lounge, and yes, he enjoys doing that. And what am I checking here? Oh yes, where we're going to the Duke of Edinburgh, not much more than 10 minutes run, and that's the one at Woodside. And yeah, still processing of the previous day's video by the look of it. And what are we doing now? Yeah, the kitchen. Oh, June's smart fridge. Not sure what that blank screen was, but yeah, that works quite well really. And got some blank screens coming up, but the my tracker, anybody interested, just taps. And Richard came over before we go off, but gave June some expert advice, which is basically how he went about getting his kitchen done. And yeah, so there's June's tracker. June's driving Richard and I through the village. A few landmarks on the way, including the Cords Hall, and under the gallops of Ascot Racecourse. And we get to the Duke of Edinburgh at Woodside, and so June's able to leave us there, and Richard hands over a £5 bet, and then he raised another quiz about a ball bearing rolling down a slope. So we enjoy our drink and food. It's just a record of what we ate, and also what we paid for it. So time to leave the Duke of Edinburgh, and Terry drove, because Terry had met us there, and so we're now making our way back through Ascot, or the edge of Ascot, into Sunninghill. Reminder about the street fair coming up, past the Cords Hall, and to Richard and Faye's. We're going to have a coffee. I pop home quickly just to check one or two things, including emails, everything's okay. And yes, Bentley from opposite is still there, relaxing. And yeah, that shows anybody checking saying, oh, Robin's back, and they would have seen that what pub we were at. So back up for coffee and cake, served up by Faye, And Richard comes up with yet another test. Can you tell electrically the difference between a constant current source and a constant voltage source? Yes, of course you can. Schoolboy electrics, Ohm's law and all that, but never mind. Yeah, so there, pussycat. Enjoy the coffee, and yes, relaxing, nice conversations. And now Richard giving June some good expert advice on how they updated their kitchen. I think the materials came from Homebase, but the key thing was getting the right person. So the rain's coming on, and June had told Belle that she'd go down after we'd been delayed by coffee and things. But yes, Bentley's still taking it easy there. And so I think there was just a few snaps before. No, I don't think that took very long. Perhaps I just took those quickly. Yeah, just checking the rain. Didn't cost more than a few minutes to do that. So it looked as though it was going to be good. That's where we were walking down to. But there was still a bit of drizzle. It wasn't too bad, but June wore a coat. So walking down, and of course we hadn't phoned Belle first, which I would have done, realising she couldn't wait all day. And sure enough, when June rang, oh no, they're in Slough. So what do you expect? Don't know if June learnt from that. I usually give Belle a ring if something like that happens. So right, so we're making our way back. Lisa gave us a bit of exercise. Back into the house. Yes, Samantha's still working from home. Bentley's still relaxing. And yeah, so June puts on the tennis. I process the video, or rather put the commentary on as I am here for the day before. And yes, that was a quote related to the, or clarification of a quote related to those mirrors, having them done properly. Listening to the Radio 4 news, and yes, Bentley's decided time to go home for a moment. And yeah, some materials, I've still got some materials there, so I thought, yeah, it doesn't take long to throw it together, because you're grabbing the chance with sunlight coming up the next day to see what is the effect, if there are any bad effects of having full sunlight coming into the kitchen. And of course the problem is, where do you find the bits? And June says, no, those bits have got to stay in the utility room. But anyhow, I did a quick job there, and yeah, I'd used screws previously, so I had to take the screws out because the little tacks were quite enough to hold a lightweight plastic mirror up there. And yeah, so yes, that right, time to put the peanuts out. So on the top bridge, just outside the patio door, and then down the garden to put them on the bottom bridge. And yes, I felt the light's not coming on that so we're going to see what the trouble is with that. Probably something simple. Solar powered, but it's probably got a rechargeable battery that needs charging up. So putting the peanuts out at the front. Yes, that camera is the one we fixed. And yeah, so yeah, June's watching tennis, of course, and she's made a pizza. Well, not made one, she's heated one up. And yeah, so I go into the naughty corner. June comes and watches the television. I'm now having a cornet, doing the closed circuit TV checks. First of all, from midnight forward, there's the fox, and there he is again, or there's about 3 foxes that come round on the front porch. And yeah, he's always looking around, making sure either another fox or a fierce cat might be coming up. So 7:34, and the camera switched to colour mode as it got light. There's the badger on the top bridge. There's from another angle, but it doesn't show it very well as a still. When it's moving, you can see it on the video clearly. Yeah, and there's the fox. The badger bullied him off. Didn't have to do anything, just arrived, and the fox says, "Oh dear, badger," and moved out the way quickly. So yeah, so we're still working backwards in time, and yeah, there's the foxes. There's some cobwebs, and I cleared that the day before. Brushed those out of the way, so we've got a better view. And yeah, there's the badger arriving, and then the camera's switching. So the badger arrived quite early. 1638 is when they switched from colour in daylight through to black and white. So ball in, June's watching tennis. I'll stretch my legs and have a walk down to the village, and yeah, check out the camera. Not easy to hold it steady. Still a few poppies up there. And into the Sunninghill Comrades Club, have a glass of wine, watch snooker on the telly, remind myself not so much what the rules are. Oh yes, checked out their Wi-Fi, and yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with their Wi-Fi. It's the settings on that phone of mine. It had been good, but I thought every time I go in there I check it again in case something's changed. Don't know what that was. Anyhow, time to walk back home. And yeah, down the drive, into the front door. June's watching tennis, playing whatever that video game is. And yeah, time to shut down the... Oh no, check email first of all. Then shut down the PC. And live, there's a fox just outside the patio door. And yeah, June's still watching tennis. Ball in, so time to go up. So that's the end of that photo trail. Friday the 17th of November 2023. That's the 1.5 minute summary of what's over 6 minutes of photo trails. Yeah, so June goes off for tennis in the morning. She's got tennis in the afternoon as well, and yeah, I'm doing a few odds and ends. And what else? Yeah, oh yes, those temporary test mirrors made roughly out of bits of plastic and silver foil and things. So yeah, June's one of the trackers is that one that June carries, so-called pensioner tracker, and yeah, that works well, showing yeah she got okay there. And then I got some posts which raised my curiosity. It was yes, fairly standard stuff, but the return address was a company. I checked them out on the company site. I like that. Very open profile. French rather than Indian, which surprised me. So yeah, part of it was recording commentary like this on the previous day's thing. June gets back from the shopping. That tracker, the spare one, wasn't updating, and it looks like it needed going on charge, so I did that. Bentley had come over, and Hody's there as well, of course. And yeah, that is the summary, and now into the photo trail. So there's June going off for tennis, just her in the morning, and yeah, the tracker's fine. So that's it. So that's the Spot T tracker, the one that goes in the boat, and anyone who wants to see, yeah, that's, tap on that. Just a question of where the tracker is. So there's the boat. No work done recently, even though I got those brass studs, but that's in the queue. So June gets back from tennis. Yes, we didn't get bright sunlight, but those test mirrors, obviously shoddily done, but very lightweight and easy to put up safely. Processing of the video from the day before, and June's off for the big shop, and yeah, check the trackers. So she's off, So you get a glimpse. There's the one that's going in the boat, then there's the spare tracker, and then of course there's the one on her handbag. Bentley decide to go across, and June goes off. So June's off to the big shop. Bentley says, oh, I'll come into the house, and Samantha's working from home in the games room. So I pop into the lounge. Yes, there's the tracker that's working. So if I'm looking at the screen, I'll get warning that she's on her way. But things were very busy. So she's on her way to Martin's Heron. Bentley's prowling around and decided, oh, I'll come in. And he goes into his usual place in the games room and looking out, and I tack another plastic mirror up. It's not even that, it's just a basically like Baco foil over a bit of lightweight plastic, but it does its job of test. So yeah, that's oh, and that interested me. Yes, it was a very standard thing about vaccinations and things, signed off by a guy, and but the return address was a company. So I thought, wow, check on the company house website, look for the directors, and then did a Google, and yeah, that's what I love, complete openness. And in fact, it was a slight surprise because the surname was predominantly French, whereas I was expecting it to be Indian. Anyhow, that's in the in tray on the format for action or filing, and yeah, recording the video or putting the commentary like this and over the previous day. And June's back from the shopping, and yes, the tracker shows her journey out, so anybody looking would have seen that live and back. And then the other tracker, which is the one that's going into the boat, and that seemed to be working fine, even though the battery was low, but that's a good sign. Yeah, now the one that is the so-called spare tracker in a box had low battery, but it hadn't updated to say she was back, so that looks as I need to take that out of the car. That's it in its box, bring it in and check the voltage. There we go, only 4.82, so it has dropped too low, but it gives us useful information. It seems that it stops working if the supply voltage, which would be typically solar powered, goes below that. There's Bentley sleeping or relaxing. June having lunch now, soup, and I check. It's not bright sunlight now, but it's still useful having those. That miracle says mirror is the wrong word, but it's a test mirror. Yeah, so that's coming to the end, and of course the day is still young.
I warned you they would be long photo trails, so now we're going to go into that material at the end, and I'm going this route in, past this robot boat, past Bentley from opposite, still relaxing his chosen place, and yes, little camera, expensive paintings. Yeah, still there. Oh, Tony deciding to have lunch.
Look, he doesn't want to be fed.
Yeah, I'll have mine too. Yeah, so Samantha back to her workplace, just here, and I think that clip shot in July started at about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rearing itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the Grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert. Shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case, and resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world, not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Robin Lovelock launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months. If it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes. That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worry for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request, but when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well, but as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday, that'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.